All right, so round 3 of No Kings protest. Dios mío. Okay, listen, there are many things that we can talk about when it comes to President Trump. Many things that I am not particularly fond of. But No Kings, that he's a dictator. Dios mío, esto es Mari Sin Censura. Vamos para allá. Okay, let's get the obvious out of the way. I am not at home. I'm actually in Miami, and I'm in a half-empty apartment right now, so that's why my voice isn't really the best. I mean, I bought this little microphone here, and I can't seem to get it, so I apologize for that, but I gotta do the best that I can. And today, we're gonna also do the best that we can, because this weekend was the No Kings protest. Not the first round of them, not the second, but the third round of No Kings protests. And these protests, as everybody knows, is just an anti-Trump rally. It's just people who are gathering that hate Donald Trump, that hate the president, and it's like a networking event for people with TDS. I don't know. They just scream and shout from a park all simultaneously on the same weekend. Don't really do much, but hey, A for effort on their protest. But millions of people around the nation gathered this weekend for the protest. And I'm left wondering, so I left one dictatorship and this is another dictatorship? It's kind of weird because this dictatorship lets you protest freely. This dictatorship lets you organize not once, but 3 times that said protest freely. And this dictatorship allows you to do all of that without you thinking somebody's going to come to your door and arrest you. Strange. It's a strange definition of a dictatorship, but I'm not going to talk for them. Let's watch some of the clips that is going around the internet.
The No Kings demonstration taking over Midtown Manhattan. Some people told us why they're here today.
There's a lot of animosity towards...
Okay. So I picked this video because, do you guys know who that is? That's Hassan Piker. Last weekend he was in Cuba. And today he's in the No Kings protest. Yet the real dictatorship was the one that he met in Cuba, but he's out here? Bro, the audacity. But let's keep going.
And I think people feel a little rudderless. So events like this bring a coalition of people that have maybe some shared resentment, but also key issues that they care about.
I'm here because I can't express how much I hate Donald Trump. And I think that he's just ruining our country.
Demonization of internal enemies, glorification of violence and cruelty, appeals to a mythical past and racial superiority, intolerance of dissent, and unquestioned allegiance to the leader.
Who are you talking about?
Let me think. Our president.
I've studied history. We've never had a leader that was so indifferent and so immoral to the concerns of the average person.
We have to show out, as we're doing today, in record numbers to say this is not okay with us.
I think a lot of people are just really angry. I mean, they're angry at the economy. They're angry at the Epstein file cover-up. They're angry that we're at war right now and Donald Trump is golfing. It's a betrayal.
Okay, so, I mean, you guys kind of get the gist, but I'm going to go piece by piece through this besides Hassan Piker, which the ultimate hypocrisy of Hassan Piker to have gone to Cuba not even a week ago to bailar salsa and do a little cha-cha-cha with the dictator Díaz-Canel and then come to a No Kings protest. I mean, that is beyond me. That deserves a whole other episode. But let's go back to this person right here. She lists off things of fascism. If you have read the doctrine of fascism, none of these are a part of it. None of this is a part of it. Fascism is a socio-economic philosophy where the state is glorified. There's a nationalistic component into that state, and everything of that state is to glorify the state. So we're talking about economics. Economics is centralized to the state so that private businesses are run in a way that glorify that state or to uphold that state. That's why Nazi Germany was a fascist state, and that's why Italy was a fascist state, right? And so none of this really is fascism at all. It's just authoritarianism or a version of authoritarianism. But let me keep going because I thought some of these things were were interesting. Harry Sisson is also an influencer.
I mean, they're angry at the economy. They're angry at the Epstein file cover-up. They're angry that we're at war right now and Donald Trump is golfing. It's a betrayal.
Okay, so I will give Harry some points in here. I am also angry at the president for getting us into a war where it's seemingly we don't have a plan. Now, that's another episode I'm planning on doing because, of course, just even getting information on what's happening in Iran has been very difficult and very two-sided. It just depends on the news media that you look to. It's just been so increasingly hard to try to decipher what actually is going on in the Iran war. I do think it's irresponsible that Trump got us into a war without an end goal. And that's a fact. He did not tell the American people what our goals were because every day they're changing. Is it regime change? Is it not regime change? He promised he wouldn't get us into regime change wars, and now we might be in one. He's saying to one side of the aisle that we're not getting into forever wars, and on the another side of the aisle, he's meeting with President Netanyahu to drum up the war, and now we're in a war. So yes, I will give Harry a lot of credit for what he says. I'm also personally upset about that. I'm personally very upset about the economy. I'm very upset that Donald Trump raised the federal budget instead of reducing it. I'm very upset they increased our defense spending bill when they should be reducing it. I'm upset that we went on a great path with Doge and then they cut it, and Doge could hardly cut anything. Nothing worth the disaster, the looming disaster that we have, right? I'm upset about all of that. Would I call Donald Trump a dictator? No. And that's the whole point of this video, is that can we categorize people like Trump in the same categories as we see in Cuba? The Cuban dictatorship is nothing like Trump. And that's what gets me so upset, because now we are lowering the definition, the severity of which the Cuban people have been lived through for 67 years, to compare it with a president that's only going to be there for 4 years, right? I cannot come to terms to say that Trump is a dictator. Trump is many things. One of them I'll say is he's irresponsible. And he's not living up to his promises. And I'm very, very upset with him in many different aspects, the ones that I said previously. But dictator, I can't seem to bring myself to say that. And if he is a dictator, and if all these steps are dictator-like, say if the argument was he's acting like a dictator, I would say to those people, well, then I'll expect you having no king's protest for every administration here on out. Because where were you during the Biden administration when the Biden administration locked up people in their homes, fined people, fired people for not complying to getting a medication injected into their arms and fired them, closed down restaurants, put old people in homes to die, told Facebook, all the major social media platforms, to censor people? Where were the No Kings protests then? Because that's also, if we're going to compare Trump to making all these decisions, him on his own, doing all these things, right? Then where were you for Biden? Now, I can apologize because you don't like Trump and, nobody cared that the Biden administration stepped over their executive branch duties. But I expect if this is the way going forward, we're going to have these No Kings protests. I expect to have one in 2028, in 2032, in 2036. Because every single time a politician gets to be the president, there's going to be abuses of power. Thanks partly to FDR. Ever since FDR came into power, he expanded the executive branch. He expanded what it meant to be the president, expanded his executive branch powers. He tried to pack the court. And ever since those unprecedented moves in U.S. history, since the FDR presidency, a presidency, mind you, that had 4 terms, not 2, 4 terms. That's why we have 2 terms today, because of FDR. Ever since his presidency, we have seen abuses of power in every single presidency. Trump is certainly not alone in that camp. But to call him a dictator, I don't know. But you want to know the craziest thing that I saw at the No Kings protest is it's not just people who hate Trump. They hate the entire way of American life. You guys, check this out.
Solution. There is only one solution. Communist revolution. Communist revolution. There is only one solution. There is only one solution. Communist revolution.
Okay, that's enough that I can see about that. That's crazy. So you're going to tell me that you're at a No Kings protest, but you're waving the communist flag, the hammer and sickle flag, but you're at a No Kings protest? Are these people insane? Are these people están quemado? What do you think communism has always led to? Communism is inherently a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship that centralizes the economy so that distribution gets passed around for your historical materialistic needs, right? But somebody has to do that, so it needs to be a state. That's why communism has never been implemented all over the world, because it can never get out of the revolution phase. Why? Because it's a dictator. Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío. Now, I gotta make a whole video on just that, my rambling that I just did right now, but how dare people go to a No Kings protest and then advocate for this? I can't even believe it. Now, I can understand that you don't like President Trump. I just said that the reasons why I don't like President Trump. I could have well gone to an anti-Trump rally, myself and I could have well gone to an anti-Trump rally. I just can't call him a dictator. But what the hell is this? What the hell is this? You know, sometimes I think when they do the septum ring piercing, they like lose neurons to the brain. That's what I think is happening here. I think what happened is that these Reddit mods came out of their closet and they decided to get together in New York City and wave a few flags around and try to hijack the anti-Trump rally. Because how in your right mind, looking at how socialism or communism has tried to be implemented all over the world, that has resulted in dictatorships, that have resulted in the economic dictatorships of many countries, how can you sit there and protest at a No Kings? Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío. It's beyond me. It's literally, it's just no words. And let me be very clear. I see more of this every single day. Now, granted, I say that with a caveat because I don't know if my algorithm is just pushing this nonsense to me, but it just seems to me that this movement, this anti-capitalist, anti-American, pro-communist, definitely socialism movement is growing more and more and more by the day. Now, that's a whole other episode that I feel like I should get into, because I can actually understand why young people would be gravitating towards socialism, even though I completely and utterly reject it. But I can understand why people are going through, why they would want to see communism as a different way of life. But just knowing how communism has been implemented, you go to a No Kings protest. This is why I say be careful of who enters, what kind of fractions and coalitions are entering your movement, given very much the Free Cuba movement as well, is what kind of people are entering these types of environments. Because I don't think that a lot of people that went to that No Kings protest would also be in favor of waving around a hammer and sickle. I really don't think that those are two of the very same types of people. But because they did hijack the No Kings protest, it makes it seem as if anybody that went to that protest is now all of a sudden a communist, which I know for a fact many people are not. Just as the same as I will say that Trump is not a fascist, he's not a dictator, he's just a populist. And in many ways, he's kind of lame at it. He's kind of bad at it. I mean, you have the Nick Fuentes types that are pissed that he's not even doing mass deportations. He's not, keeping up with his promises. And then he's just not even good at it. He's not keeping up with his promises. He's not building up the coalition that he once had before he started his second term. He's not doing most of it. So I mean, he's kind of a bad dictator and a bad fascist at that. So I mean, he's kind of a bad dictator. Pero bueno. What do you guys think? What did you guys think? Did you guys go to the protests? Let me know down below what you think of my analysis of this. And if you think I'm wrong about why I don't like President Trump, leave me your comment below. Otherwise, subscribe, mi amores. Subscribe. And I'm going to try to fix this. It's just... maybe I should just get furniture in here for like a week and then have them move it out. And in the meantime, I will try to fix my mic. Dios mío. I'm sorry about that. Anyways. Ciao, ciao, mi amores. Bye.